Hello there and welcome back. Today I wanna talk about another of my 1000 setup. So lately in my channels we discuss a lot about having a lot of toys, and I always think and thought that sometimes real creativity is when you use the minimal amount of tools. And for me, the interesting part is creating something that allows me to have a sort of performative tools. Something that allows me to create different sequences, change them, and then interact with them with effects. So today I'm using the Oxi, that is one of my favorite sequencer. I was just now a long phone call with Manuel, that is the guy that designed it, and he told me a lot about a lot of new features that are coming soon. So this is one thing that I always recommended. Oxi One is pretty amazing. Then I'm using as a voice the Deckard Dreams, mostly because it's one of the synth that it's really still hard for me to comprehend, still wrapping my head around it. So I enjoy to have something hard and difficult to use in the setup. So, it always sparkles interesting accident. Then I have the LVX from Meris. That is today is a very simple delay, simple but beautiful sounding. And then the Nightsky. I'll tell you why I'm using these things. First, of course, before going on, I have to tell you the way you can support me. So first, you can become a subscriber of this page, you can share this content, you can buy from the affiliate link down below, or you can become a Patreon. Patreon is how I basically found all my page, and that way I can keep doing content. And before going on, I would like also to do a new disclaimer that I would like to from now on say all the time. As much as I love gear doesn't do music, it's you that do music. And we had a lot of polemics lately, a lot of hate, a lot of bad vibes because of some gear, and I think that shouldn't be the case. I am a firm believer that you can do music with anything, and even with very cheap things. I'm very lucky because this is my job, so I can source a lot of tools, but don't get fooled by that. It doesn't mean that I will do better music than person that just have few of them. So I really want to be clear on that. I demo and review only things that I really like and that I would recommend to you. At the same time, I'm not here telling you buy more stuff. I am, again, a believer of find something that resonates with you and then play that. My live setup, for example, is a Vermona and Octatrack since years, and that, of course, say something about me too, right? Okay, that was important to say. Let's go back to what we are listening here. So, first thing first, I'm using the Deckards that has a very kind of classic tone. Is a Yamaha CS80 clone, in a certain way. sounds beautiful, it's great on pads, but today I want to use it with more plucky sound. It has two channels, right, two strips, so I can move. Let me turn off all the effects. I can move using this higher pitch, that is the strip 2, and this other one that has more bass. And I can tune in, adding the sine. So these allow me to have the first control on a live performance, so change between two different kind of voice. Then of course I have the filtering. And then I have the quantity of noise that had a certain amount of percussion to the composition. That said, this is sequenced by the Oxi. Now the Oxi has 4 sequences, but as usual with my sequencers, I try to use it in not all together. Otto's meowing. I say hi. But I have these 4 sequences going on all the time, and I mute and unmute, so I can create different moments in my composition. So for example, now I'm starting with, let's start with the original one. So this, for example, it's the first sequence that goes on. That was going on in the start of the video. So this is the stochastic mode on the Oxi. The great part of this synth is that it has many modes, and you access them pressing Shift and the track. And so here you would see all the possibility. So actually, sorry, this wasn't the stochastic. This is the multi-mode. Stochastic come later. So the multi-mode is very interesting because each lane, it can be sent to a different MIDI channel, but in this case it goes all to the same. And what is great is that, as you can see, the playhead, it goes not all synchronous with all the tracks. It is because you can set the initial step and the end step for each different tracks. So for example, let me mute. So I have a bass track like this, and then I keep adding stuff. This one goes for 16 step, but this next one, it only goes until here. And this, of course, since they are different length, it starts creating a pattern that evolve. And you can decide the initial part and the ending step. So if we are when you have something like that, the strategy are multiple, because you can start adding notes or changing the value of the note. So for example, now I'm adding this note, and I can change the initial value like here. And as you can hear, this is a playground somehow. You can keep adding, remove notes, muting things. And of course, you might say this doesn't sound really amazing yet, but the moment you had some effects, and some delay and some reverb, and here we start talking. So you can start your thing using the sound. Let's talk a little about the effects. So I always am happy with a delay and a reverb. Now these two are very complex tools. Delay, it's one of my favorite thing, and I love the LVX. We are still refining it before we hit the market with Meris. This is a beautiful, gorgeous pedal. In this case, it sounds more like a simple delay, but it's fine. And then I love the Nightsky because this is what it's really, really, really good. You have the control over your reverb signal, your wet signal, as you can call it, and your dry. So these allow you to do a lot of cool stuff, have more control on, for example, transition. Then you have the low cut and high cut, and you have the way to tune the interval of the shimmer. So for example, this could be my first pattern, right? And then I can go in a sort of ambient. And I can create something like that, and then I can load the next two tracks that are still sent to my Deckard Dreams. So what I prepare in this other, I have a chord track, and this is another mode of the Oxi sequencer. So I have a chord one, and I have a mono sequence. So what happened now, I can load them, unmute them, and they will start. I can turn off the other one, and now I can put back the dry level, and I can short the length of the reverb. I can play, introducing again the delay. So right now what we have again one track, that is this one, that just play to chord. With the Oxi you have this chord mode that is incredible. You can play chord in many different inversion and quality. It's one of my favorite modes, so I put very simple right now. I can actually also change the patch on the Deckard Dreams, but for the sake of these things, we'll keep it as is. And then I added a mono. And I decided this one to make it last 15 steps. So it creates something. You guys know I love sequences that are not even as a 16-step thing. So this could be your second part of the composition, right? You can play a little with that. You can play with all the filter. Of course, if I had my Vermona here, I would feel so much at home. That could be maybe be easier for me to create, to perform with it. But again, it's fun to try new things. And so again, here we are in a new segment of the song. I can start introduce variation with my Deckard drum. Now I'm introducing this other part. So far we were playing just with the sine. Play with the feedback. And now we can do another kind of transition. For example, we can have the feedback. And again, create something like that. And then you can introduce the last part that is the stochastic sequencer. So you unmute it. And right now I have still the chord and the stochastic. So we can remove the chord. And I wanted to have three distinct kind of vibe. So this sounds very different than the other. You can change the time of the delay if you want. So the stochastic, it's a fun. So basically you have here, it's your scale. It's a minor, C minor as usual. So you can see here in green all the notes that you can use. And you can decide the probability of those notes to happen in the sequence. So for example, if I want the A sharp to happen more, I can put here. And as you can see, whenever a trigger is fired, there's a lot of chances that this one. And then you can decide the octave, the rhythm. So this is a generative tool that Oxi has. And so this could be a great ending because you can just let it go. And you can start. Play with what you have. For example, now I'm introducing the sub-oscillator, that is the LFO with on the VCO, and creating something. And add an interval -4 on the shimmering, maybe. You had the regeneration, so you shimmer more. And this could be a nice ending for the set. So with these three sequences and this material that we had, I could have played easily a 20-30 minute set. Of course, adding more effects and having more preset even that you can use in the Deckard would allow me to have a different variation, but it was just a walkthrough on what I would do or what I would prepare whenever I record or play live. So these you can let go for a while. You can also decide, for example, to do the division in quarters, so it's gonna trigger less note, and then even more. You go on a half. And this could be the end of it. There's auto passing through, I don't know if you see it. You can play with the tuning here. And so this would be the final kind of ambient generative part. And that's it. Okay. And that's how you do performance if you are me. Of course, take everything with a grain of salt, and you know, the concept that to conclude that I think are interesting in this approach is the fact to have a powerful sequencer that allows you to have different things going on. In this case, we had a stochastic sequencer, a poly sequencer, a chord sequencer, and a mono sequencer all together, all loaded at the same time, and then have a couple of effects you can actually play with your hands, so it creates, you actually create the transition, you create moments rather than have it recorded or just, you know, automatize. You do it and then have a synth you are comfortable with or not. So, you know, cool stuff can happen. What I'm hearing now is pretty cool. And when it will hit the right note, oh, this one, you let go. Now I put the feedback to maximum. And needless to say, there's a lot of, for example, what you hear now, this could be a great pad. So always record, and even the tail, in the tail sometime is where the best kind of sound. Well, I hope you enjoyed this, and again, if you want to support, please subscribe or share this content. And yeah, I'll see you next week. Thanks for watching. Thanks, and have a great weekend. Ciao.